Welcome to the 10-Minute Treasure. My name is Jeff Pospisil, and in this video I'm going to look at what if your church is planning on staying with the United Methodist denomination. And that might seem like a weird question, but a couple weeks ago, in the beginning of March, there was an announcement that the Global Methodist denomination is going to be launching on May 1st, and that's going to be a more conservative Methodist denomination. And I had churches that lean that way. They were calling and saying, okay, what do we need to be doing? What do we need to do to prepare for that, and what can we be doing to think of in joining that denomination in the future. And so I put together a video about that, and I'll put a link to that in the description. But I did have a very small number of people wondering about what does that mean for the United Methodist. And I think that's a really important question that I'm really not getting any phone calls on. So if there is conversation going on about that, I'm not part of it. So, and that's fine. So, but I'm going to put in my 2 cents on how a United Methodist church can prepare to stay with the denomination. For the vast majority of our United Methodist churches, they were planted over 100 years ago. And so over 100 years ago when they were planted, those people that planted that church, they chose to be United Methodist. Well, they actually chose to probably be EUB or Methodist Episcopal or whatever. But anyway, they chose the denomination. And since then, though, every generation after that, most of them were United Methodist by default. And some of them later, claimed it for themselves, but most of them, they're United Methodist by default. Our trust clause kind of locks them in, and they didn't really have a choice. And so the interesting thing is that this is the first time really in a long, long time where churches will get to choose to either stay United Methodist or become Global Methodist or Liberation Methodist or whatever. I'm looking forward to it that our churches in the United Methodist denomination, they're not going to be by default, but hopefully by conviction, that they will choose United Methodist out of conviction. And that's really my hope. And by the way, this is our Wesley United Methodist Church in Sioux Falls. And I'm not saying any of that discussion described them, but they have a really prominent cross and flame. So that's why they get used in this. Churches that are planning on staying with the United Methodist denomination, some of them might be thinking, well, this way we don't have to change. Well, guess what? I think change is still going to come on. And I think it's not going to be as obvious as what the Global Methodist churches are going to do. They're going to have to change their name, and they're going to have to change their sign and stuff like that. But change is coming. And I think it's going to be similar to what we experienced with COVID. I kind of look at COVID as it was almost like a fast forward button for our churches, where they had to embrace technology much faster than they normally would have. They saw people that were slowly drifting away, just stop. They saw people that were going to be leaders for the next 5, 10 years. All of a sudden, they are no longer around anymore. And then they also saw on the positive side, there were people that really became much more engaged, much more involved during the pandemic. So it was just interesting that it was almost like a fast forward button. And I believe that's what the United Methodist churches are going to experience as well for the next maybe 2 to 4 years within the denomination as they go through this transition of seeing the Global Methodist churches leave. While I don't have a great record for predicting the future, one prediction I feel fairly confident on is that in 2024, the United Methodist denomination will officially change their stance on homosexuality. So what that means is churches will be allowed to do same-sex weddings, and actively homosexual people, they'll be able to become pastors. And we've already seen this over the last decade or so, even as recent as this winter. Iowa has said they're not going to police that anymore. So this has already been a change that's been happening in pockets unofficially or quasi-officially. I don't know what you want to call it. But anyway, it'll become official. What this means for the average local church, probably not much. Probably not much. One day you may have a homosexual pastor. One day you may have a same-sex wedding. So maybe. Well, another change that you need to prepare for is that there's going to be waves of churches and pastors moving to the Global Methodist denomination. And you might say, well, how does that affect me? I'm staying United Methodist. But we're a connectional denomination and we're choosing to break connection. And so we're going to have people that have been at the table with us for generations, people that we disagreed with strongly on certain issues. And they're no longer going to be there with their prayers, their efforts, their finances to help us do stuff together. And so that is a change. And we'll have to adjust to that reality. And in the Dakotas, my prediction is that we're going to have a small percentage of churches leave this year, 2022, maybe as many as 20% leave in 2023. And then the waves will get smaller as churches are forced to make a decision to either be United Methodist or be Global Methodist. In Minnesota, I see smaller waves as they're not nearly as conservative as the Dakotas, but I think there will still be waves. And again, some of this is, well, a lot of this is dependent on the conference leadership stance towards this separation. If they're going to fight it, then the waves are going to be erratic, I think. But like in the Dakotas, we're much more leaning towards wanting to allow for a gracious exit. And so under a gracious exit, that's what I think these waves will look like. Some churches, and I've heard this actually, I've had this discussion almost a decade ago, but some thought, as soon as we change our stance on homosexuality, yeah, we'll lose people, but so many more people will come in. And this is just a warning, is that just from observing the ELCA, that hasn't been the case. And I saw this graph not that long ago where Luther Seminary, so it's not like it's a biased source, but they took the ELCA data and they're projecting that, we could be down to about 16,000 Lutherans worshiping on a Sunday morning in only 20 years. So they're really concerned about it. They have not seen the change in trends for them. So after they got through their transition on the stance on homosexuality, and I think that happened in 2009 or 2010, they saw a continuing decline because a lot of our churches, we have some underlying issues where we might say we are welcoming, but we don't go out and welcome people in. So that's one of the struggles that we're going to continue to face even after the people that disagree with our stances are gone. One of my fears is that those churches that are planning on staying United Methodist, I think they're going to face the temptation of putting your head in the sand and waiting for the dust to settle, and then you can re-engage in ministry. But I almost think we need to see the changes that are coming similar to what we saw COVID. COVID, I'm sure there's people that thought, well, we'll just wait 2 weeks and then we'll be back to normal. Most of us probably thought that. But as soon as we saw that the world was changing, we adapted ministry, and things have been different in the church world ever since. And that's going to have to be the same thing for those that are staying United Methodist, is you're going to have to acknowledge there's a change and we're going to have to adapt instead of just react. And so that's my fear, and I guess my admonition for those that are staying United Methodist. So if you were to call me up because you see these changes coming and you wanted some advice because your church is staying with the United Methodist denomination, here's what I'd tell you. I would circle back around and visit with my leadership and be very clear. Sometimes we use these terms that I don't think we all are on the same page with. For example, I talked to somebody the other day and they said, yeah, they're a progressive church. They use guitars at worship. Well, if you talk to the average clergy person, progressive means something different than guitars at worship. So anyway, make sure you're on the same page. And by the way, it might help to do the values training. I'll put a link to that in the description. The Dakotas Conference has been using it. I think it's been a good tool to figure out where churches really do align. The next thing is make sure you contact your DS. So whether you need help figuring out your values or you are committed to the denomination, let your DS know. It'll just help everything. The last thing is I think I would look for opportunities at this time. So imagine, for example, that there's 2 United Methodist churches in town, and one is planning on going with the Global Methodist and yours is planning on staying with the United Methodist. I would be in conversation with that other church. And so when they make their announcement that they're leaving and going to the Global Methodist denomination, I would coordinate that communication and you also make that announcement. So hopefully people will feel comfortable saying, okay, I'm being released to go to this church, and there's going to be people in that Global Methodist church that are hopefully being released to come to your church. And instead of making it a fight, we're just helping people that we love and care for find the church that best aligns with their values. I hope this video has helped you. This was not an easy subject. Um, hopefully it comes across that I care for churches that are staying with the United Methodist, those that are choosing to go with the Global Methodist, and those that are still figuring it out. I really do want you to succeed. And while I'd much rather prefer to do videos on debits and credits, sometimes I think I feel somewhat obligated to dive into this. So hopefully it's a blessing to you and your ministry. God bless.